Hey, what's up, Silas here. So one of my main supports for Donald J. Trump has been the things that he's exposed. One of someone I really look up to made this really good analogy about how Donald Trump is like that kid in the Emperor's New Clothes type thing, where he came out and, in the Emperor's New Clothes story about this emperor that has all these yes men around him, everyone in his kingdom and everything. This designer comes up to him and says, "This is the finest kind of outfits everywhere. Like only the smartest people, only the most intelligent, the best people in the world, most virtuous people in the world can see this kind of fabric." And pretty much he gives him no clothes. And the emperor is walking around explaining, "Yes, these are the clothes that I'm wearing. These are the clothes that I'm wearing." And then everyone is afraid. Like, hey, if I tell the emperor that he's naked, then he's going to think I'm not virtuous, that I can't see this, that I am not worthy of seeing that, and then he'll fire me. So he starts with the people closer to him, and it keeps moving on and on and on. It moves on to the people in the court, it moves on to the people, the family of the people in the court, it moves on to the people coming to visit him in the temple or in the castle or whatever, it moves on to the people, and then he's walking around in the streets, and everyone's been told, hey, the emperor has these new clothes, like these are supposed to be the finest clothes ever, and everyone is just talking how amazing they are, how great it is. And then one kid just looks at the emperor and says, well, the emperor is naked, he's wearing no clothes. And that breaks the spell, that breaks the glamour, that breaks this fakeness that people have bought into, have this edifice that they built up to support this falsehood. So with Donald J. Trump, when he came up, I think what happened with the media, that was one of the big things people trusted before. People falsely trusted the media as a partisan and good source of legit information, and then it's been exposed how biased they actually are. People used to say, "Oh no, sports or these other things are free of politics," but it's shown that no, politics is everywhere. Even the race issues with the previous administration with Barack Obama, I think he was a race hustler in a lot of ways and pulled a lot of these issues. But because it was Barack Obama, in the way that he did it, he's also a very excellent communicator in that way and communicated in a way, and he also had the excellent shield of being a black president, quote unquote, because as I've mentioned, his mom was white, and apparently, maybe proof of the patriarchy that people really discount how much somebody's mom actually has to do with somebody who they are, the genetics and who raised them. That's completely discounted. White single mother raise them. I guess if she was a single mother of color, maybe they would give more props to her. Like probably if it was a black single mother and then it was like a white father that was in and out, even though numbers wise that hardly ever happens compared to the other way around. But anyway, if you have that kind of situation, then people are like, yes, black because of the mom. But anyway, it exposed how many issues there were, cultural issues there were in the United States of America. I'm not the ones who think that Donald Trump empowered racists. No, people were racist, and yes, some people may have talked about it more now than before, but I think talking about it is good. I'd rather I know who's racist. I'd rather I know who thinks X, Y, Z, and then deal with it on that actual way than this other thing. Now, the most recent one is this situation with the lawyer of Donald J. Trump's office, household, and secondary home. I think it was like a hotel or something that he's been using a lot, were broken into by the FBI. I think this is good to show that, hey, people who are under this idea that the law, that the state is actually this benevolent figure, are now going to realize it's not about the state granting you rights. The state pretty much looks at you and is like, okay, we're not granting you rights. These are rights that you have, inalienable rights, like what is written in the Constitution, Bill of Rights. Every man has inalienable rights. I think there's a natural rights, positive rights, and negative rights, the kind of thing where positive right is something that you have, like I have the right to my freedom and not and bodily integrity. It doesn't require somebody else to do it. Now, anything else that's a negative right is when people say, "Oh, I have the right to security," or like I have the right to health care and things like that. I'm like, no, that's not a right because that requires somebody else to provide that service. But anyway, you get to that kind of situation where these so-called rights that states give you are not necessarily rights. It's pretty much the state saying like, hey, yeah, we don't really give you these things. We're just going to pretend that you have them. We're going to pretend that we value you having them. Because the second the state actually wakes up and wants to get something from you, they will override those rights immediately and break them and take those things they want from you. That's something people need to wake up and see. Next, the situation happening in Syria. People are thinking, a lot of people who were supporting Trump were also thinking that, yes, wars are going to be over. Now, I don't know why he's done what he's done in Syria. I don't really support that. I wish, what if he actually hadn't done anything and just been like, no, we're not going to bomb anything. I know people died there with, supposedly reported with chemical weapons, but until you get actual information. But this just shows that, hey, the state is also a constant thing that just violates other people's sovereignty, other people's natural rights, other people's positive rights. Because whether or not Assad's government actually did this, the people who are being bombed are not Assad. They're just sending other people out to fight wars, and then other countries are responding to that by sending other people out to fight wars. People are going to start realizing that people who are in power in these positions, themselves, they realize that, hey, I'm willing to use my people that I've grown up with, that I live with, that I represent, that voted me in, that gave me this power, that gave me this lifestyle that I have. I'm willing to use them as pawns and just send them off to die. For various reasons. I know different politicians have different levels and things like that. I'm willing to tax them. I'm willing to use them as tax livestock. I'm willing to lie to them. I'm willing to pull them around here. I'm willing to tell them, this is information you can't stand, you can't have, and act in this way. So they understand that other governments and other politicians are also willing to do that for their country. So this whole idea that I'm thinking, like, Assad's not dumb enough to actually do this, and I still don't think he is, but there are people who are dumb enough to lead and do certain things. There are people who probably in the rebels, in the opposition parties, or just in other places, who the politicians realize that, hey, I'm a politician, I know who I hang out with, I know the kind of mindset that it takes to be a politician. So chances are politicians on the other side are also lying. Politicians on that other side are also willing to risk their people, sacrifice their people on wars, and do actions that are going to lead to the deaths of hundreds of thousands of their own people, because I'm willing to do that. So they understand the high-stakes game that they're dealing with, and I don't think the average person does. I don't think I really come to terms with how crazy that level of power and just that level of the mentality and that ability that's in there. It's pretty awesome in a way where it's just like, wow, it gives you pause. And I think, again, with Donald J. Trump coming up, with him having this conduit, this access to talk to people, is a way where he's showing people, he's exposing these things to the populace. And maybe that's going to change some things, where people are going to see things and wake up to the reality of the worlds that we live in and try to actually have some actual change into the systems that exist.